Thank you very much, Dolson and Neil, for letting us know all about the Alienware PCs that myself, Dolson, and Neil are using while they do their work, and I would not have it any other way. And you at home can have it that way as well. If you head on over to SMITEGame.com/Alienware and use code AWSMITE09, you as well can throw from video to yourself live on air, and you can play Smite like a not defending world champion, a world champion in Neoma, and I guess defending world champion. The Leviathans playing on Alienware PCs as well. Thanks again to Alienware for powering us here in Season 9 of the Smite Pro League, and hopefully powering you at home here very, very soon. Dolson here on the desk, as I'm sure you get at this point. Spooky joins me in Spooky. I asked Trelly this question at the top of the previous desk segment. We've already had one SEC upset here today. The Ravens looked very competitive up against their SPL opponents, the Oni Warriors, just now. Seemingly anything can happen here on Elimination Sunday.
Anything at all, Dave. And honestly, it's grudge match time. I am 100% for it. I want to see the SEC take it to the SPL once again. I think they can do it. It wasn't the cleanest match last time from the Levi's against the Wardens. I think that the Wardens have plenty of fight back potential today into the Levi's.
And look, this was always going to be such a difficult group for the Kaolin Wardens to make it out of. It was going to be a difficult Sunday for a lot of the SEC teams to be able to make it out of in general. And we've gotten 3 matches underway already. The Valkyries find themselves a 2-0, and it's that second one that we've been talking about all day long. Hex Mamba with a 2-1 win over the Solar Scarabs. They advance themselves into our tournament next weekend. Continuation of Smite Summer Masters, of course. Same tournament, one and the same. Just the second week. And then the Oni Warriors just now advance themselves into our elimination bracket with a 2-0 win over the Highland Ravens. So one final match remains in our first week of Smite Summer Masters, day number 5, and it's Leviathans up against the Wardens. One team from this group has already progressed. It's the Titans, who are totally spotless through their first couple matches here at Smite Summer Masters. 2-0s across the board. And now one final elimination match remains here. And Spooky, I think, though we love upsets and we love great storylines, I do think you have to favor the Leviathans, the SPL squad, the actual defending world champions going into this match against the Wardens.
I mean, of course you have to favor the Leviathans, right? They've been looking really good all season. They've taken a couple stumbles here and there, and like I said, their last match wasn't the cleanest, but in light of all that, they're still the world champions. They're still defending their title here, and you got to favor them a little bit. Zapman has looked consistently great. Ronngyu is just a pleasure to watch all the time. And, you know, as much talent as the Wardens have, they're the underdogs here.
Yeah, but can the Wardens catch the Leviathans off guard? That may be the game plan for this Warden squad, because over in the North American SEC, this is a team who loves to run it down, W-key, be in your face, play an aggressive style of play. But the Wardens also not the style of team to shy away from some of the more unique picks. I think we have had a lot of conversation this weekend about Elleon in the jungle for good reason.
Yep.
I mean, he played Kaolin jungle earlier on in the weekend. He's played Naja, has played support. And so this is the substitute player instead of Sino playing this week for the Kaolin Wardens. And again, been some good, some bad for Elleon. The first 3-game set we had this weekend, he played Kaolin in the jungle. A loss on that. Has also played Mercury. And so I think some of that flexibility, God Pool diversity, if the Wardens bring something unique out in the jungle, might be able to catch the Leviathans off guard.
It's definitely an edge that they have over the Leviathans. And really, if you look at the Kaolin and you look at how it performed, it was actually going really, really well for the Wardens. It was just a matter of the late game, it wasn't able to survive long enough. It found tons of early game success, though. I think Elleon was about 4-0 on the pick. And you can see him exerting his pressure right here, constantly in that solo lane. The Wardens have tons of early game success. I think the key to finding more success against the Leviathans is to play into that. Put Elleon on these strong early game junglers, even if they're a little bit unorthodox.
Yeah.
That's one of his strengths. Play into it.
Yeah, but I don't think we can escape talking about this Wardens team without mentioning some of the other players on their squad. Because yes, Leon is joined this team for this week, ideally into next week as well if the Wardens are able to win. But the entirety of the squad in that 3-game set against the Aru Scorpions had to step up. Moswal's been putting on some really nice matches here as of late. And the front line for the Wardens really impressed me. RelentlessOne and Geno, a couple spotless games in that 3-game set. That's not easy to come by when these matches are as competitive as they are. Did you say Jordan is standing by? Is that what I just... Okay, Jordan standing by now for the pregame interview with the Kaolin Wardens.
I will talk to everyone. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Jordan Focus here. This is my first official interview. Just kind of thrown at it. Let's get over here real quick. What's up, guys? How are you guys feeling about, this being the last set of the week and, just how you feeling in general?
We're feeling good. After watching the other SEC team take them to 3 and take the dub, I feel like we feel pretty confident right now. So hopefully we can get to the Levi's.
Yeah. And just in general, I'm unfamiliar with most of the teams, especially SEC, just on a personal level. So if you just introduce yourself to me and just, how are you feeling mentally just going into this last game, just last elimination game before going into next week?
Well, I'm RelentlessOne. You could just call me Nick, but I feel confident. I mean, last set of the day, tired, but we can get the dub here.
And you said you had a twin brother who walks, he's over here. What's your name? And also, where's your headspace at? Just in general. It's the same question over and over again. Oh, we're wrapping. Okay, well, real quick.
IGN is NotGeno. I'm the support player for the Kaolin Wardens.
I've been given the wrap-up signal. I'm sorry I can't talk to the rest of the team, but it seems like everyone seems in pretty good spirits here. We're going to go back to the desk.
Appreciate it, Jordan, one of our video guys here in the SMITE Pro League, and a future in commentary potentially. Top of the line interview, as always, from Jordan, and really helpful for those out there who are just unfamiliar with the Kaolin Wardens and who they might be. Got to meet RelentlessOne and Geno, and good luck if you didn't know who the other 3 were, because we didn't get to meet them during that interview. Obviously in high spirits. That's a team who probably realize that they're punching uphill here in a battle like this, and because they're going against the Atlantis Leviathans, the Wardens are going to have to bring their best. The Leviathans, a team that have had a very, very up and down phase too. Not the picture of consistency, but the peaks have been best in the world. The valleys have been getting 2-0'd by the Valkyries, right? And so we have seen so much up and down from the Atlantis Leviathans, and finding that consistency for this team is really that next step, and have put on some good games, some bad games up to this point here this weekend. A lot of it starts with Panitom, though, in the jungle.
Yeah, Panitom has always been a force to be reckoned with in the jungle. He's been really consistent for this team ever since their Sanguine days. That said, he has had some off days here and there, but you take a look at the past games he's played, you've seen some Serket from him, you've seen Ratatoskr. He has been a big proponent of this Osiris you can see on your screen right now. And really, it's just the activity that Panitom likes to have. He wants to get in there. It is very similar, in fact, to Elleon style. This clash of early game junglers is something that's going to be really interesting to watch. It's going to be a question of how well can they each play their own game style. But you got to favor Panitom just a little bit more in that matchup, just on account of how long he's been with this team and how long he's been at this level. He has the track record to show that he can step up to the plate and bring some wins home.
Yeah, and Panitom and Elleon have not had that much of an overlapping god pool here this weekend. Cullen, needless to say, not in Panitom's god pool just yet, but a couple Mercury games, Naja, Daji, things like that, where Panitom has stuck with Osiris on a pretty good rate. Ratatoskr, Pele, Serkets. That's more what Panitom is playing. And so I think it's going to be super interesting to follow the junglers along throughout picks and bans here in this set, and where strategy ends up lying for this Atlantis Leviathan squad. Because in such a competitive league, I mean, it is no surprise that any team really is struggling to find consistency. The Kings have just done it so well. But I bring up like the 0-2 loss to the Valkyries. Valkyries have been looking really, really good as of late, and so losing a set like that, I think isn't quite a mark on the Leviathans. But we'll get into P's and B's. For game number 1, up against the Kaolin Wardens go the Atlantis Leviathans, and the Leviathans find themselves in first pick. Leviathans don't look super worried, obviously having a nice time in their player booth. Got to be feeling good about their chances going into this matchup. These two teams already met earlier on in the event, where the Leviathans were able to take that set 2-0. And I think it's hard sometimes to draft against this Warden squad, though, Spooky, because when you're playing such unique picks, got to be difficult for the opposing team to pick ban against you when they don't know what you're playing.
Yeah, it's always an interesting thing to watch because, you might see, well, like you said, Kaolin locked in and say, okay, they've got their solo laner, no problem. Let's start hitting these junglers, take out that Daji. Now then you load into game and Elleon is actually the one that's playing the Kaolin. He's taken into the jungle and you just realize, oh, we wasted 2 bans.
Right.
That doesn't feel super good.
Right.
But at the same time, we're at a state right now where you can still feel comfortable looking at these top meta picks like this Kepler, like that Lancelot. Just take those out and make sure that the Wardens might have to go a little bit deeper into their pockets for that god pool to really come into its own light.
Lancelot and Osiris both taken away. A couple important picks for the Atlantis Leviathans. Ratatoskr been important for the Wardens as well. Specifically, we've seen RelentlessOne play that already in this event. 4-0-5 in a win over the Aru Scorpions. RelentlessOne there. And I think that's going to, in Moswal specifically, I think is going to be important for the Leviathans to consider here in this matchup because so strong. I think back to that Zeus in Game 3 against the Aru Scorpions, and even starting that game like 0-2, Moswal just finds his way back into these games consistently. Is just able to find a way to have an impact. Very hard to blank this guy. Very hard to keep Moswal out of the kill column. That's something the Leviathans will need to identify. Leviathans, they identify Cupid still around. Chernobog is not by their own doing. And Cupid worthy of a first pick nowadays.
Yeah, Moswal, I think, is a very good topic of conversation because he's one of those players who can just find his space. And if you've put any pressure on him in the early game, it's not going to matter. He knows what his gods can do. He knows what he as a player can do. And he's going to find that value. This Cabrakan locked in response to the Cupid, I think, is a really good pick coming out there, and the Heimdallr to pair with it. The reason I like this Cabrakan so much is because it can give you that early pressure against this Cupid. The Fields of Love, they have a cripple on them and a slow. Cabrakan, when he pops that first ability, cannot be slowed. He has slow immunity. He can run all the way up to Zapman on this Cupid and just lock him down with the walls. There's nowhere to go with the Cupid dash but forward. And if you're sitting in the Tremors, that doesn't feel good either. That's just putting you further into danger. This is already looking like a pretty good draft coming out from the Wardens, but we're only 2 deep.
Look, we always know Zapman is going to receive pressure, right? And so Cabrakan, a good way for the Wardens to be able to funnel that. The other ADC, the Heimdallr here for Gryph, honestly no surprise because in the last 6 games, a handful of which we have seen in this event, 5 of the 6 games we've seen during this event, it's either been Heimdallr or Cupid. 2 Cupid games, 2 Heimdallr games.
Us to glory,
or 3 Heimdallr games,
victory.
rather, 2 Cupid games so far here in SMITE Summer Masters. And Heimdallr has looked good for Gryph, so a great start for the Wardens. But whenever I see a Daji locked in, and it ends up being, one of Panitom or Cubo Fred or Lasbra, I mean, really any player in the SPL, any jungler in the SPL, I immediately get worried for the other side because Daji is such a high-impact jungler, so often banned out, but let through this time and can really disrupt the Wardens.
I'm actually very surprised that this Daji does get through because if you take a look back a little bit to the Wardens versus the Scorpions game, it was Sarpé on that Daji that caused them so many problems. That was the reason that Elleon on this Kaolin jungle wasn't able to really translate into the late game to continue finding success. I don't know if maybe it just slipped their minds or they think it's not as big of a deal in this match. Maybe they've done a little bit of practice and they have some answers for this Daji this time around. But just take a look at their draft so far. Cabrakan will be very easy to pull in. Heimdallr does have CC immunity to avoid one chain. But you gotta wonder if maybe this is just an oversight, we'll say.
Yeah, I mean, the Wardens, I think, happy to get the Mercury for their team, and you mentioned you get the CC immunity with the Heimdallr, but I mean, Gryph doesn't want to have to be using that ultimate for CC immunity every single time, right? You want to be able to initiate or use it in other instances to escape, dash in an absolutely ideal world. But I mean, Daji just totally going to be hard to outdraft the Leviathans now, I think, even with just that one pick. And that's somehow ignoring Jarcorrr and the King Arthur and how good Yark is on that pick. A fantastic top 3 from the Atlantis Leviathans. The bans roll through, though, for the Levis, and they do not want this Hell or the Bellona to make its way into the Kaolin Wardens' back pocket. And Chaac is the selection, but won't be Chaac jungle. It'll be Chaac over in the solo lane, presumably against this King Arthur.
I mean, you would hope so, right?
Yeah, I guess what do I know, right?
Even now, I'm not 100% convinced. You would think that Elleon would be on this Mercury. We've seen him play it before. We know he's comfortable on it. But with this Wardens team, I'm just never comfortable saying, oh yeah, for sure it's Chaac in the solo lane. It makes the most sense, but we won't have to wait and see. I'm pretty much on your side on this one, but
If this is not Chaac solo lane, I don't know. I was trying to think of something drastic that I would do. I'm going to do something drastic if it's not Chaac solo lane.
if it's not Chaac solo, then you can eat your lay.
Yeah, these are not real flowers. That can't be healthy, but fine.
It'll be fine.
I will. No, actually, you know what? And this speaks to how uncertain I am, because there is a world where somehow there's this flexibility for the Wardens. I can't wait to see what the Wardens end up picking for their mid lane pick, because that's usually what they do. This team likes to save Moswal's pick a bit later on in the draft and then kind of throw a wrench into the mix. Won't be the Hell. Won't be the Morrigan.
Agni's
And at this
up.
point, won't be the Merlin. You think Agni might be a good option?
The best option, probably not. No CC immunity to get away from the Daji, but we've seen Moswal on it before. We've seen he can position very safely with it. And we know he can bring a lot of pain with that Agni pick. But Morgan Le Fay is also one that we've seen Moswal play before. That's got CC immunity on the ultimate and is honestly just a very strong pick right now, in my opinion. I wouldn't mind seeing him go into that pick, get some nice artillery. It's got the same kind of feel as Agni, dropping big area damage over walls, but just a little bit more safety to it.
They've been going for a solid minute now. Was it those two who were on the desk bouncing it back and forth and they
it
kept
was.
messing it up?
It
I guess when you're standing and you have a much sturdier base, I guess it's easier to keep the ball up. This is a much better showing than these two had while they were on the desk trying to bounce the ball around. Still the one pick, though, for the Kaolin Wardens to finalize their draft. You've got plenty of initiation, it seems like, between a Chaac, between a Mercury, and a Cabrakan. We'll add a little bit more. Chang'e was not a pick that immediately came to my mind, but it's Moswal we're talking about here. Loves playing the cool stuff. And Chang'e will finish off the draft for the Wardens.
I mean, it makes sense with their draft. It's got some good initiation, good follow-up with the Waxing Moon, so you can really line up some targets with the Cabrakan walls as well. More importantly, he's got the Moonlight Walls. That's going to be critical to avoiding the danger from this Daji. If she lands a chain, you hit your 2 button, go into the dance, CC immunity will cleanse that chain away, no pull, and then you're in a good spot to follow up. If then Panitom decides to drop down and follow up, you still got the Waxing Moon that can act as either an initiation tool for your team, or it can be a counter initiation to just disengage from that fight entirely. Chang'e is just a very safe pick. She gets movement speed every time she uses an ability, able to kite back very effectively, sustain in the lane, but notably much shorter range than this Merlin. It's going to be piloted by Sheento, and we've seen Sheento on this Merlin so many times. He's so effective on it, able to get so much farm, put these abilities down in such critical positions. I think it's still a tough fight.
I want you to assess for me now the entirety of the Wardens draft, because so often what we'll see is something like a Cthulhu or an Overrun, or in this case a Daji, gets locked in very early.
Right.
It opens up the possibility for counter picks later on in the draft for the other team. So you get this Daji with your second pick, and the Warden's then able to answer back with 4 more picks after that, or 3 more picks after that. Do you think there is enough built into the kits of the Wardens to limit the effectiveness of this Daji here for the Leviathans?
There's definitely enough in the kit itself to limit what the Daji can do. But then you take into account everything else that this team has. Are you going to go ahead and burn your CC immunity on the Daji Palau? Okay, well, there's a Field of Love that's following that up as well. Now you have no CC immunity, and now the Leviathans can just come in after that. It's still a dangerous game that they're going to have to play.
Let's assess the flip side, though. The Kaolin Wardens, as I've mentioned, have some initiation for themselves between Cabrakan, Heimdallr, Mercury, Chaac, Chang'e. They all have a way to get in there. Do you think that they're looking for individual picks? Do you think they have a really solid team fight? What area of the game do you think the Wardens can succeed in?
I think the dual lane is the first place to look at, just because you have this Cabrakan on NotGeno. You're looking for aggression over there. You want to get things rolling early, and you want to get Elleon on this Mercury started a little bit earlier so you can start getting what I assume is going to be rage stacks. That's where I'm looking.
Lots of assumptions with the Kaolin Wardens. Atlantis Leviathans, Kaolin Wardens. Game number 1. Let's kick it off with Gore.
Oh, that's right. It's Gore and Trelly here. Leviathans and the Wardens. And we'll see if another SCC team has, well, this is their last chance, the ability to make it to next week. Or if the Leviathans will buckle up and dig their heels in now. Charlie, I'm excited for this one, though. Yesterday, maybe not the exact showing the Leviathans wanted in their setup against the Titans.
Yeah, no doubt. And now it's a time for both of these teams to bounce back, right? The Wardens
Yeah.
would love to just come out swinging, get some early kills onto Elleon here on this Mercury, get the crit online, and just run through this game. I think that's the ideal situation. Of course, RelentlessOne going back to the Chaac. I've had many words about Chaac in this tournament, but
mostly about jungle Chaac.
yeah, all of them about jungle Chaac. The solo Chaac, it's got its uses.
You said some good things about solo Chaac the other day, I think.
And I think I'll continue to do so. 'Cause
Nice.
I think as a solo laner, Chaac can excel and has some decent matchups, mostly into the things like the Cupid, for example. The attack speed slow, the movement speed slow, all going to start to add up in the late game.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch how this one shakes out. Plus, Leon back on the Mercury always feels good. I'm always excited when Chang'e's just in the game, let alone in mid.
Oh, yeah.
I think it has been an interesting role. I think Aquarius worth mentioning and shouting out because they have been picking it up in the solo lane pretty often.
Last time we had dumplings, wasn't Zap playing the same exact skin? And we were talking about
it was
dumplings.
me and you with Zap playing this skin, and we were talking about the dumplings. Similar to what was brought in for lunch today.
And that's
Charlie.
what I'm saying. So once again, we get dumplings and Zap is on the same skin, keeping it consistent. I think that adds to a certain level of how many heart bombs he's going to be able to hit this game.
How many heart bombs? Oh, heart bombs. I was thinking of the hearts themselves.
Oh, no.
And I was like, how many of those he's going to hit? I
No.
don't think he gets to choose that.
No, he can just grab those. Those are free. I mean, I guess you could miss them, but
Yeah, it's like technically.
something would have to be going horribly wrong.
He just throws them at Geno and says, all right, go get them.
Yeah, eat the dumplings. Let's go. And yeah, that could be a play as we go on. But
Yeah.
I do expect to see some early aggression.
Yeah.
But not really from the Wardens. I mean, Mercury has that gank potential with special delivery, but you gotta look towards Panitom on this dodge. He has the blink, shows that he wants to get active on the map. It's just where and when. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Panitom yesterday, again, not necessarily the showing I think anybody on the Leviathans wanted, but definitely shut down a lot of bans thrown towards jungle picks, assassins by the Titans. And they're definitely limited severely the Leviathans. In almost complete opposite manner here, Panitom's on Daji, the most coveted jungler in the league right now. And so we'll see how online that can get. Normally we're talking about like CC immunity, and we almost always bring up like ults when it comes down to the Daji. And there's a good bit of that, right? Griff's gonna have that. Leon, I don't think does anywhere in the kit.
While you're
Relentless One
casting,
does.
you can use the Sonic Boom.
I was thinking you'd get just yoinked out of it.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of funny.
You can't charge. You have to fire it, right? It's
Yeah.
pulled in.
Well, Moswal, while it's not built into the ult, has it somewhere. Leon, barely. Damn, that tick damage too. Woo. A lot to deal with there. Makes it onto the tier 2 and is able to stay alive. Hardcore Panitom playing the game how they would want. They go for the invade. RelentlessOne still picks it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say like once Elleon gets poked down, like oh that's unfortunate. You're gonna have to fight 1v2 for the buff, but just essentially did half of it for him, and then let RelentlessOne confirm that. Well, Elleon gets to farm the other side of the map, so an interesting start. RelentlessOne happier that you get to confirm that blue buff. Chaac, not the biggest mana hindrance. Your passive is gonna vastly be able to control that, but
Yeah.
every solo laner loves having their blue buff, and you're right to highlight. I think this Chang'e as well. Moswal, I think the game, has the potential to completely change a team fight, right? Like Sonic Boom, of course. One of those ults that can go through the back line, you hit multiple 2-3-man stuns, that's massive. But Waxing Moon, those stuns really start to add up. I think Beads coming into question for both of these teams.
But I think it's more interesting thing. Sonic Boom, one of the better things about it is it's super long. So like even worst case scenario, you could hit 2 people and they could be like at the mid lane or at the middle of the lane and then one like in the tower. And you could still hit both of them. And well, you can't do that with a Waxing Moon. And like a jungle fight around the Fire Giant, I could easily see Leon ult into Moswal ult, and that's obscene CC to have to deal with. If Beads are down on the other side, or for some of these guys, they don't have them for the Leviathans, that could be a really scary prospect with the damage follow-up they have.
Yeah, I imagine Leviathans are going to have to de-incentivize grouping up when Moswal is around. Not like Moswal has anything like Blink at the moment.
Treat
so
everyone like Zap.
Exactly. Just
alone.
Yeah, just split up as much as possible. Make sure you're not grouping for anything like that. And that seems to be the mindset here. I do think that because 4 beads are picked up, you'd like to think that Panitom is posturing over towards that right lane, trying to catch RelentlessOne out without that Storm Call. That's the only CC immunity built in at the moment. But it's going to be hard to force, and I think Jarcorrr is trying, just like batting away with a ton of damage. But Chaac with that built-in sustain, not going to care too much about it, right? I mean, you're not going to be forcing ultimates unless there's some aggression coming through.
And you were talking about it earlier, but like Chaac passive giving him just a free ability, had the blue buff up until now when it fell off. But that, plus the fact that that means you can kind of just spam your heal if you need to. Like the only downside is then the cooldown on it, the actual timer. Otherwise, I think feels really good for them. No big invades from the Leviathans since their last attempt. Panitom and Jarcorrr get aggressive on the Leon, and they forced him under the tier 2. They tried to go for that blue buff. They didn't get the kill, nor the buff itself. Zap forces Griff to ult early on here in the left side lane. Trades out 1 for 1. And normally you'd think that there was going to be some sort of follow-up. I looked up to the minimap, like, okay, where are the junglers? And they're on the other side of the planet in comparison. So it is going to go back more to kind of neutral ground. And Trelly, this is normally, you know, throughout this, we've been talking about it. You got to see it a few times today, where gold for the SCC teams can be a little more troublesome, right? They tend to fall behind a little bit more. There's going to be the Sonic Boom in mid, though. Leon won it a little bit, but Sheento was under the tier 1 tower. Geno didn't get the stun fast enough. So they're going to fall back. But a lot of the gold conversation has been the Leviathans, or normally the SBL team, out-farming the other team pretty heavily. That's not the case right now. I mean, they're within 200 gold of each other. That's a wave.
Yeah, it's not going to be the worst at the moment. And I think, you know, to highlight the fact that beautiful by Elleon, and also you get the beads on Sheento. So now Sheento's going to have to watch the positioning. I would not be surprised if we see Ronngyu go behind that tier 1 tower at some point, just to drop a ward, just to get some extra vision. Moswal to use the dance early on. Gonna have to beat that one quick pull, but it's not enough.
Yeah, I like the way they play that. Again, Panitom, I think beautifully charged, making sure to force the immunity out of Moswal early, and then grabbing the beads, like you said, very, very quickly. And it's not easy to try and pull a playoff like that against a Chang'e. I mean, I guess showcased by the fact that he played that almost perfectly and still was unable to. Moswal just has good reaction time.
Yeah, you can't beads any or pull any quicker than that.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm going to ask this to you. We've been seeing a lot of the Warlock staff, like Sheento has, especially on Merlin, but on a few others. You know, you get the Hunters in there. Of course, they're stacking the Transcendence. Doomorb early for the Chang'e. Feels like we haven't seen that rushed as much lately for anybody really outside of the Morrigan.
Yeah, it's only been the Morrigan, sometimes Poseidon if you're going to be zooming around, but I think Moswal, you know, he likes playing these immobile mages, and he likes being a little bit quicker. When you cast your dances as Chang'e, you're going to get some movement speed. Wide as well, go for some early power, as well as some movement speed. I would not be surprised if Moswal still built into some sort of stacking or HP item. I think full damage Chang'e does have its place, but up into a Daji that can really dive quite easily, Jarcorrr. I mean, like, Chang'e has that burst potential, but only on squishies. Like, if you're using your ult onto a tank, you better hope it's a quick pick and you're getting out, or you're using it defensively. So Moswal's not going to love just trading with Jarcorrr in the backline. I would not be surprised if we saw some sort of survivability in this build, besides just the movement speed from Doomorb.
Yeah.
It really just depends on how you're trying to survive in these team fights, and, of course, if your tanks are protecting you enough, which on a Chang'e, you can never get too much protection.
Trelly, I'm not going to start the game. I am going to tell you this, though. Or I'm not going to start the game of who's going to die first. I'm going to tell you this, and that is that I've had a lot of 14 to 17-minute first bloods in the games over the last few days. So just buckle in, okay? I think, and you know what, chat, you too, because it could be the long haul, though not for lack of trying again. The Leviathans gotten aggressive twice. Griff is in a little bit of trouble. Once again, ults out of the Fields of Love. The duo lane now turning their attention towards Geno. Leon, Panitom in the jungle, making their way towards left. Could be a simple purple buff invade here for Panitom. Making sure presence is known, doesn't get the purple buff, doesn't get a lot of damage out there. Does dash in, falls back, Ronngyu. Gonna go steal from the obelisk. They're going to call that one a small win.
Yeah, I mean, we've been paying attention to both mid laners lost their beads. Sheento's just came up. Moswal's got about 15 seconds, and because that Trickster Spear was just used over and left, I don't imagine, and since Moswal is on the back camps, there's going to be any more aggression. So attempted ganks, attempted kills, some relics were used, but, you know, nothing actually landing. And a small, very negligible gold lead, but it looks like Griff is looking for some damage.
Yeah, he's trying to turn this one around, but the damage is on him. Panitom is able to get this one 9 minutes in, and they might just find two. Leon tries to save his carry, but it costs him his life.
Yeah, I think that's one of those fights where you just got to let Griff go. Unfortunate that Elleon thought they could pull something, and since the Draconic transformation is here, Gold Fury is being passed back and forth. It looks like NotGeno's onto this one. He's going to walk up slowly, and Moswal's a little bit far behind.
Geno has ults and damage. No blink available, only the beads hovering around. Walks in, gets stunned out, and it's just a little late, but is looking for some kills. Good damage onto Zap. Moswal zoned out by Panitom and Geno. He's eaten more than he can chew. The chains, they're going to come down, pulled in. The Leviathans, they're a little shy on the damage. There it is, a heart bomb from Zap. And they're up 3-0 plus a Fury.
Yeah, that was perfectly played. The hammer right at the perfect time to make sure that Geno did not have any damage to confirm that objective. Geno beads is a little bit late, goes for the play after the fact, and Panitom was making sure not to zone out the Cabrakan with no damage. That's not the call. Zone out Moswal, the Chang'e with Waxing Moon that could have got a quadra kill if actually stepping up towards that fight. You waste Waxing Moon early to cut the stun out 1,000 cuts. And the perfect objective pull goes to the Leviathans, and now that gold lead also in their favor. During that, though, Pyromancer has spawned in, so expect to see some vision thrown on that right side of the map.
Maybe the most hectic minute of gameplay for the Wardens. Leviathans, from first blood to Fury to team fight, all of it working out in their favor there. Now, like you said, maybe leveraging some of the right-hand side of the map. Some of those are from the Eye of the Jungle, but most of these wards giving vision. Maybe some rotations. Elleon has ult again. Jarcorrr seemed to have stepped up. Panitom might be the target, though. Can't get the angle that they want. Could get the Scorpion. Rongngyu's over here. Panitom hanging around as well. Wardens are able to confirm that one, no problem. Immunity for Moswal gets him out of there. Rongngyu's going in. The damage from the Merlin is good. Moswal is just burned away before our eyes. Another kill for the Leviathans.
Yeah, the Ronngyu just making sure to hit those, and every time this dragon gets used, an objective is pulled. This time around, it's the Pyromancer. Elleon's on the way with ult, but actually just on the back camps has no idea this is going down, and it looks like should be another free objective going over to the Leviathans. All which started with a Scorpion invade by the Wardens, maybe realizing that they're a little bit too far up. Ronngyu goes for the hammer, immediately into the transformation. Gets the beads and the immunity out from Moswal so early on and finishes that kill by themselves. A little bit of help from Sheento, but besides that, that was all the dragon damage, baby. Rongngyu's on point.
I'm going to raise it a hellish 3 minutes now for the Wardens. From a fight on left to the Fury to the, the invade. Now with the Pyromancer and another kill. The Leviathans sitting almost 4,000 gold over them, or at least consistently around that 4K mark. Little wins. Could be big for them. Even there, that coup goes down towards the Leviathans. Anything the Wardens can pick up would feel nice. But tier 1 and mid, almost gone. Elleon has ults. Well, Geno backing here. Doesn't feel like they have a lot of room to move on. And you're starting to see it I think, really compound in the experience.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, gold is easy to talk about, and we're going to see that. But you're seeing level differences across the board, Trelly. And it starts to feel like the Leviathans, maybe not running away with it just now, but for 13 minutes in, this is a really comfortable game.
Yeah, this is a very comfortable gold lead, but notably there are some power spikes that have been hit by the Wardens. Of course, Moswal just finished that Staff of Mirror, and that's going to help out a ton in team fights. Rage from Elleon, I think that's going to be the biggest one on the map currently. Once Merc starts critting, it's going to help out a ton. No stacks on it yet, of course. One kill could really start to add up for the jungler of the Kaolin Wardens, but I can't talk about power spikes without talking about Zapman. The level 13 Cupid has the dominance, the kin size, and tier 2 Odysseus bow. I mean, the charge bow enough is going to help you with some clear, some just ranged AoE autos, and then you're also getting the kin size already online. Tons of shred. Tanks are not going to last too long around this Cupid.
But tell me more, like, with the dominance, right? We've seen a ton of Transcendence. I mean, Griff has Transcendence, and we've seen a variety of starts this year, but like dominance has only appeared, I want to say, by Zap. I have to hold that for a second. Panitom hovering around in the jungle, got aggressive on the Elleon. Geno is just missing so many stuff. Panitom is insane with how he circle strafes around, and now the damage is good. The walls from Geno, they can't hold the Leviathans back. He able to walk out of this one, but with Griff forced to teleport away. Oh, the Leviathans feel great with that engagement.
I mean, I've never been so hyped about no kills happening. That was just an auto attack that Geno could not hit because Panitom backstepped it every single time. And some ultimates did drop down. The main win there, getting NotGeno's beads down. That means Cabrakan, a prime target for the powwow. Panitom wants to force. And guess what? This Primal Fury spawns in about 20 seconds. Certainly could be the option. Tier 1 and left goes down. Zapman's got some cooldown on Fields of Love, but you got to be feeling good on this left side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, look, with the amount of pressure they have, like getting an ult off of Geno here, Fury's about to respawn. They got the tier 1 like you highlighted, and I mean, pressure is just exuberant here for the Leviathans. They are more than happy to continue on this kind of rate. And so I can pull it back to where we were looking at it. And it's a conversation of early game, mid game, late game. Because when you look at Elleon, you'd mentioned the crit earlier, late game. That's a conversation for Mercury. The dominance, I want to go back to it because, again, it's something that's, I feel like a Zap, maybe not Zap only, but it definitely has been more Zap specific as of late. What does it bring for the Cupid? Like, why go for that over something like the Transcendence on the other side?
Yeah, I've seen the dominance sprinkled into some builds here and there, and it just brings overwhelming penetration on auto attack specifically. When you're going for a build like the Cupids have been building as of recent, just you put some points in your dash, get attack speed, get the kin size. The more kin size procs, the better, and also penetration on those autos. Gold Fury's pulled, but it looks like it's going to be a bait trying to bait in the Wardens.
It feels like Zap's damage is something to keep your eyes on. Autos specifically. Same thing I think should be said for Elleon on the other side, looking for rage stacks. Hasn't got a kill yet or an assist. So that's not been stacked up. Fury dropped Jarcorrr in mid. Chased down a little bit. Elleon's over there charging the Sonic Boom. Not quite sure if they want to go in with it yet. That feels like the entirety of the fight. Both of these teams looking to erupt, but not quite sure that they want to. So holding on to all of the ults. But dropping the Fury, Scorpions are unfortunately going to take the ire of the Leviathans here. But the fight fizzles out, Trelly.
Yeah, I mean, you still have no beads on NotGeno, so the Cabrakan could have been a prime target there, but I think putting a lot of respect on RelentlessOne, who rotated in, has fully stacked Transcendence, as well as the Glad Shield with the Sovereignty Aura. I think the Leviathan's smart to say, hey, if we go up into the powwow and this Chaac blinks to the back line, that's not going to be like a great opportunity. We would love to get a free pick, but this isn't the way we're going about it. A little bit of a pull onto that Pyro, or the Primal Fury rather, but nothing consistent. They're not going to commit to the objective like that without a strong pick beforehand, or at least some ultimates down. So now, it actually looks like the Pyromancer is being grouped around. The Leviathans are on a ward, so they're not going to walk up without knowing the Wardens are going to retreat.
I like the way they play this. Again, Pyromancer, a lot less of a heavy commit than a Fury.
Oh, yeah.
It hurts you less, and it takes less damage to kill it. So it feels like something they could maybe easily leverage in. But even them, as you mentioned, standing on the ward, recognize maybe this isn't something we're going to go for without getting at least a pick. Maybe trying to force something. That gold lead, though, has slowly been ballooning still for the Leviathans, despite the good play from the Wardens, keeping things, well, it feels like more neutral, right? It has plateaued. It's just unfortunately plateaued at 5,000 gold. The Wardens are going to start up the Pyromancer. Ronngyu over the wall. Panitom can see them. It's just whether or not they get aggressive. Jarcorrr is going back over towards Ku. Wardens drop the Pyro. And they're going to go ahead and let this entire fight reset.
Yeah, I see Zapman rotating over to mid, wanting to grab that tier 1 tower. I was expecting this will translate into that Pyromancer pull that we theorized. Take a look at the Wardens, though. They're not rotating over, possibly going for the Primal Fury once they step on that Warden. It looks like that will be the call. This is burning down fast, though. It is not going to be quick. If they want to go to that Primal Fury, they need to do it right now. Panitom's already on the rotation.
Yeah, Panitom knows what he wants, and he wants a loop around. Waiting for the rest of the team. You can see Cupid dash in mid. They're trying to close the gap fast. Panitom goes in. Powlow's good and gets him away from the Waxing Moon pull. Not going to grab Geno. Not going to grab anybody. But he gets a lot of relics, or one relic, and a couple of ults out of the Wardens.
Yeah, you would have loved for that Waxing Moon to connect, but now RelentlessOne could be in some trouble here. That's not a stun on the Heart Bomb, but Jarcorrr, he's tearing up the back line.
And yeah, being able to lift Elleon up, that jungler's out of here. There's going to be the silence from RelentlessOne. Finds 3, but that doesn't slow them down. The damage is there. This Merlin's burning through health bars, and Panitom picks up the kill onto Geno. RelentlessOne forced away, and after getting a Pyromancer, 1 kill, the Leviathans are going to pick up a Fury as well.
Yeah, I love the call there from the Wardens, but it just was not quick enough and not enough DPS. When you bring a Chang'e to a team fight, it's not because of the objective burn, it's because of that ultimate. And, you know, Sheento just has tons more of it, as we saw in that fight. The actual burn on the objective was just not fast enough, and I think Panitom plays that perfectly. Blinks in, allows to immune the stun, and just sort of stands there for a bit and says, hey, my team's on the way. You guys got 2 options. You get out or you fight. The Wardens tried to get out. Great chase down from Leviathan as well to confirm the kill and make sure that Fury goes down. That gold lead climbing, and it's not stopping. It's been consistently going in favor of the Leviathans.
Yeah, has not had I mean, even just a brief moment for the Wardens to feel like they're going to get something. I guess they pulled the Pyromancer not too long ago, but even then, it felt like wishful thinking, not necessarily something that we were certain of. Oh, and like you said, man, it's just not looking great gold-wise. Experience-wise, even worse in some circumstances. A lot of goose eggs over there on the side of the Wardens, still blanked and as far as kills go. Item-wise, I see straight up just a full tier 3 over for the Leviathans. They've got that Divine Ruin, otherwise the build's roughly similar. But now with the Soul Reavers towards the end, feels like more damage now that can come out of the Chang'e. And you know, you're looking at this, you get a Deathbringer finish from the Mercury. Maybe this is where they can come online and start to fight, and they're grouping on right. So it feels like they want to be more proactive.
Yeah, I mean, Moswal has been vastly ineffective this game. Bottom of the damage charts for a reason. Chang'e is a burst mage through and through. There is no poke. You are going in or you are sitting back. Elleon, the same style of play on this Mercury. Both at the bottom of the damage charts because can't find any kills. Fields of Love comes through and that's a lot of damage.
Heart Bomb on Elleon. It's not going to find any sort of CC, just some damage out there. Zoning from the Leviathans. 20.5 minutes in. They're going to get the transformation from Ronngyu. They want to start up this Fire Giant. Maybe not for the FG itself, but at least for the fight. And that's what Jarcorrr is looking for. Grabs Grip in the back. But he takes a lot of damage in the process. Moswal tries to return as much as he can. The team just not able to. They haven't been able to find it. RelentlessOne goes in, goes deep, gets the silence, gets some damage onto Zap. But Zap is turning it around. One more auto, and he gets the kill. And now Panitom pulls in Elleon, gets the kill. Griff goes down, and the Leviathans are running through the Wardens right now. Add on one more, and if Geno goes down, that's your deicide. 10-0 right now for the Leviathans, and a free Fire Giant.
I just can't imagine a world where a Chang'e ult onto that level 19 King Arthur is ever the way to go to try and win this team fight. Zap essentially wastes Fields of Love and it's healed off, but still dished out a ton of damage with the Odysseus bow throughout. You know, RelentlessOne just wanted to get so active in that fight, got to the back line, didn't really find too much damage. And I think Sheento ripping through, Ronngyu was able to CC the rest of the Wardens. It was just a botched fight from the start, and when you're this far down, that's what you should expect. It was close. It was one of those situations where if you're just stalling trying to get the Leviathans off fire, that looked really good.
Yeah.
If your object was to get a kill, I mean, you got a low health bar King Arthur, but it was still about 30%, and no one is able to chase that one down. Unfortunate for the Wardens, but that's almost the nail in the coffin. That's 14,000, and there's still 2 tier 2 towers standing.
I mean, look, Death Column's looking like a zip code right now for the Wardens. 1, 2, 2, 3, 2. The Wardens, unfortunately, just in a spot where things have not gone their way. Look, you were talking 4,000 gold about 15 minutes ago. And then suddenly we're ballooning up to 5,000 gold, but much closer. About 8 minutes ago, maybe a little longer. Let's go ahead and jump that to 13,000 in favor of the Leviathans. Every neutral objective, the only thing they've really been losing out on here, outside of what is about to be a tier 1 tower and right, has been 4 Totem of Coups. Otherwise, it has been a very oppressive game from the Leviathans. 4-0-5, like, I'm going to Zap because I feel like this dominance, not only has it worked out really well early on, you'd mentioned the charge bow, now the Odie bow. It feels like this Cupid is just providing way too much.
Would you say he's showing dominance on the map?
I think I would, actually. You know what? Yeah.
I appreciate that, Gorks. I think so as well. Zap has been vastly untouched. A fair bit of damage coming his way, but never being able to find that actual kill, as no one has been able to find that kill. It's just been all Leviathans all the time. That tier 2 in mid is dropping, but already on the left side, the Phoenix is being sieged by 3.
And it's gonna be met with some aggression. Geno goes in, drops the ult. Same thing for RelentlessOne, but Fields of Love, they're gonna pop, they're gonna pick up 2. Geno has a heart bomb. They kill Zapman, and that is a successful defense for now from the Wardens. They keep the bird alive, and they get a big bounty on the other side.
Finally, a waxing moon from Moswal connects, and guess what? It results in a kill. Zapman goes down, had no relics, and that was just overconfidence of the highest degree. There is absolutely no reason for a 3-man Phoenix siege on left when you're when the two, Panitom and Jarcorrr are still in mid. That just never needed to happen, and Zap's relics weren't even back up. That's just a classic I mean, that's a Zapman call, right? Where he's just like, yeah, man, we can go for it, right? Oh, okay, we can't go for it. Let's back up, try again later. So a solid answer back, but what will the Wardens do in that time?
Yeah.
At the moment, just pushing up right, trying to ease up that gold lead a bit. But if you're looking at what the Leviathans lost, it was a Fire Giant buff on Zap, and that's about it. All ultimates still available, you know, besides the Draconic Transformation. All relics are still up.
Yeah.
You got about 58 seconds left on this siege, so I don't imagine any more Phoenixes being looked at. Leviathans are still in a favorable position, but that's the start of the answer back that I would love to see from the Wardens. Just find a kill, find an ultimate rather, an engage onto the squishy targets. If you're just trying to shred through these tanks, oGryph does not have the damage to be able to do that just yet. Only 4 items online. Would love an upgraded starter item before you're really able to commit these ultimates to these tankier targets.
A little bit over half of the power play just kind of neutralized with one play from the Wardens. Plus, they got the Pyromancer right before that, right? So it feels like
Oh boy.
maybe a small win might get taken away here. Moswal stopped the back and then up onto the Powwow. That's going to be an easy kill for him. Leon gets out of there. But what does it cost the mid laner? Gone on the ward.
I bet you Leon saw him coming to me. He was like, "Good luck, bro. I'm not.
Yo, peace."
Yeah, I'm not staying to help you. I hope that between the both of us getting our backs stopped, I hope it's you." And gets back to trying to defend this one. So I was wrong. With a pick like that, left side Phoenix starts to look a lot more doable.
Yeah, now they're stepping up to it. No Fire Giant buff. Just the damage from the Coerce, and of course the damage they have in their enhance. They're burning it down slowly, but they're getting there nonetheless. The Leviathans are able to find that one now. Can they aggress? If they find any picks, this could be the game. RelentlessOne is getting shredded down. The ult is good enough to keep him alive for a little bit, but not long enough to stop the Leviathans. They are hovering around the Titan room, trying to find their way in. Titan starting to take its damage. Geno throws up the walls, trying to keep him out of there. Leon goes for the ult, but the Wardens, their last stand, it's not looking good enough. The Titan is falling down. Geno is falling down, and the Leviathans are going to take game number 1 in a very convincing fashion.
14-1. The only kill is the only time I saw that Waxing Moon connect with a squishy target. And again, I'm not harping too much on Moswal. It was just the pick could not work out. The Chang'e was not finding value. Elleon on this Mercury found some ults, but not enough damage. I think the Wardens in their entirety were vastly nullified, and I'm not going to say it was entirely picks and bans. Of course, Leviathans, clinical on their farm on the map. They were making sure that every objective was pulled with a purpose. They weren't just, let's just see what happens. They were pulling in and then baiting a fight. Yep. Pulling in only when the objective was confirmed, and it was just dominance all around the map. We joked about it. Zap belt at first item, but that's what I saw.
I mean, from aggression that didn't lead to anything. I mean, they were, invading on the right-hand side of the map. Zapman was just getting ults for free out of oGryph early on, using those Fields of Love, and while those didn't maybe go into the explosive kills, eventually it led to, a 2-pick on left into a Fury, and that might have been the last time we really got to see the Wardens be truly competitive. A good kill onto Zap around that left side Phoenix is nice, but sometimes it falls flat. I think that one's one that you got to go back and you got to think, you know what, we need to re-estimate the first 10 minutes because that's where things fell apart. The Wardens fall down in this one. Levi's up 1-0. They might be able to close it out in 2. The Wardens might push us to 3. We'll find out all of that right after this.
Love
And in one of the cleanest sets games we've had all weekend long, the Atlantis Leviathans take out the Kaolin Wardens in game number 1. Still potentially a couple games to be played, at least one more. But the Atlantis Leviathans look near unstoppable here in game 1. This is what Leviathans fans were hoping to see, not only coming into this event, but this matchup specifically as a way to bounce back after the Leviathans' loss earlier on in this bracket. And so a really good look here from the Leviathans, Spooky, to seemingly iron out all of their mistakes. I mean, this is about as clean as it gets. You drop a death, and other than that, you're playing a perfect brand of Smite for the Leviathans.
Yeah, this is a much cleaner game of Smite from the Leviathans this time around. This is exactly, like you said, what we wanted to see from them. It was just clean performance all the way through. I think at one point I looked at the screen, it was a 7,500 gold lead. That was around the 20-minute mark. 3 minutes later, it's a 13,000 gold lead. That's the kind of performance that the Leviathans had here today. And you really can't attribute it to any one single member. It was just across the map, Leviathans were playing their game plan, doing what they wanted to do. And at the end of the day, that's what you need to do if you want to find these wins. Sheento was putting out massive amounts of damage. Ronngyu was finding huge engagements. And Panitom, you really got to shout him out, being able to bait out those CC immune abilities and the beads from multiple members of the Wardens. Just clean play all around.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of Smite that won the Leviathans their World Championship last year, right? Season 8 Worlds, the Leviathans were playing this type of Smite. Now, a bit more expected, I think, in this matchup for the Leviathans to play this well and to look this clean. But as far as building consistency and really momentum, you know, if the Leviathans are now able to put back-to-back games together like that, I think Leviathans fans will be feeling fantastic going into our second week of games. But still pushback potential from the Wardens. Absolutely can surprise us. But we're talking about a total game plan reorientation here for the Wardens. Nothing went right. Moswal's able to snag a kill, but it's on to Zapman once. There's something poetic about the one death on the Leviathans being zapped, I think. But just a really good look all around. So if you are the Wardens, Spooky, you know, I don't think you have too much to lose going into this next matchup. I wouldn't mind them getting a bit creative with their composition, because with the Leviathans playing like this, you might just have to catch them off guard, make them stagger a bit, and see if you can make a unique play style work.
Yeah, I think this is one of those times where you have to just take a step back, reevaluate everything, and just come up with something new. We saw Elleon try to go on the Mercury. It's a little bit later of a god, so maybe just switch that around. Look for something with more early pressure in the jungle, because that was one thing that the Leviathans did have in spades. You saw Panitom making multiple rotations around the map, and the Wardens just didn't have a good answer for that. So give yourselves an extra tool in that jungle. Apply more pressure around the map. Even if it means going back to this Kaolin, which didn't win, but it definitely did bring that same kind of early pressure that we're talking about. That might be enough to give the Wardens a bit more of an edge into this game.
Yeah, if the Leviathans are going to be a team that potentially get thrown off by something like that, sure, I'll get on board with the Kaolin jungle. Let's see what Elleon is actually going to bring out here in game number 2. Wardens in that first pick slot, so they'll have some flexibility down the stretch.
Yeah, not too surprised there.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense here. You played with fire a bit in game 1. Let's see what Panitom can do to us. Daji is just in such a strong spot that if you're not going to pick it for yourself first, if you are not going to have an immediate answer to it, worth just banning away against just about every team in the SPL. Leviathans in trade, though, will take away the Cupid, maybe sensing the Wardens would have been willing to first pick the ADC.
Yeah, always a good idea. Just take that off the board, get it out of their hands. And I really like these first bans that are coming up. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not going to say I'm going to be happy. I wouldn't be surprised if we even saw a Heimdallr ban, just because it's been what Griff has been playing. These are really the only 2 picks we've seen from him recently. So you can limit him quite effectively if you choose to, but it's going to be the Ratatoskr that's taken off the board. Heimdallr still available, and quite a bit else still up on the board. Lancelot comes to mind. The Cabrakan is still an option. So the Wardens, they've got plenty to work with. Just a matter of what do they value the most. It is going to be that Lancelot.
Yeah, Lancelot hovering right around that 70% win rate through 13 games. So a decent number of games played for Lancelot. Over half of them being wins. King Arthur is a popular answer back, but I do think this gives the Wardens some flexibility, whether it's Lancelot jungle or Lancelot solo.
Right.
Haven't seen this pick for Leon this weekend yet, but also haven't seen Lancelot for RelentlessOne this week yet at SMITE Summer Masters. And the answer back from the Leviathans is a King Arthur and a Heimdallr. So really good picks all around. I think both teams start off their draft in a pretty consistent way.
Elegant.
Yeah, this King Arthur looked great in Jarcorr's hands in game number 1. Throw it back at him.
Yeah, why not?
You're never going to feel bad when you have a King Arthur in your draft. This Heimdallr is also super smart. That acts as a 4th ban against Grip. Take that up for yourself. And Zap's been known to play it as well. He's always looked really good on this pick. Allows him to either get aggressive or stay safe as he needs to. My eyes, though, they really do go to this Yemoja. This one we've seen Geno play in the past before. It's got a good answer to the Arthur. But I'm not sure if it's everything they need. It's a good start. It's got some extra safety for them, some good peel, some good sustain. But the Wardens weren't able to really take elongated fights in game number 1. It wasn't the critical piece they were missing. I like it, but I'm not sure it's the everything they need.
Right. I mean, Yemoja's been so strong for so many teams here this weekend. 73% win rate, as you just saw. So even better performing than Lancelot is. So maybe some of the sustain, some of the control can elongate some of those fights for the Wardens. On the flip side, Leviathans are going to have a bit of that as well. The Eset locked in. And so with the circle protection, of course, you get some burst heal, some burst damage. But really objective secure, so important. And if the Leviathans play as squeaky clean as they did in game 1, I imagine plenty of objectives will be pulled, plenty of objectives will be secured by this Eset, and it's been a popular pick. There is a world where you're like, oh, Zapman has played this Eset before, but with the Heimdallr there, that basically goes away. It does look like Eset support, though, now with the Merlin picked up. So Ronngyu rewinding the clock a few weeks a bit, playing the mage support.
Yeah, we've definitely seen him on this Eset before. It's always looked pretty good. In fact, I think the last time the Leviathans played against the Wardens, Ronngyu did pull this Eset out. And we all know how that set went.
Twice.
Was a 2-0 victory for the Leviathans. So they got to feel comfortable going back to this. At the same time, though, this Yemoja does offer some presence around those objectives as well. If you see Ronngyu drop that circle protection maybe a little bit early, you can easily throw up those Rivers of Rebuke, try to push the Leviathans out.
Yep.
It's such a tough call, though, because the way Leviathans are playing, they're more than happy to take that fight. They're playing so cleanly. Their team fights have looked great, and the Leviathans are just running back 3/5 of their draft right now.
Why not? And the parts of their draft that they're not running back are pieces of a composition that have worked against the same Wardens team in the past. As you point out, the Eset looked good against this team earlier on this week, and Heimdallr for Zapman always going to be a certain level of good against the Kaolin Wardens. Hou-Yi hovered, and so is the Agni. Maybe provide some control and some damage from a range for Moswal. And so if this ends up being an Agni pick, it'll be second time, I believe, we've seen this pick. Once against the Leviathans earlier this week, and then once against the Aru Scorpions earlier this week for the Wardens as well. So with Agni and potentially a Hou-Yi and a Yemoja, looks like the Wardens should be able to poke out some damage around some of these objectives and potentially sustain up some of the poke that they're receiving.
Yeah, these objective fights look a lot better this time around for the Wardens. They don't have to commit too much of anything with this kind of draft. You can just step up with the Agni bombs, drop a couple, just look for that poke, and then when you're ready to fully commit to something, you have the Yemoja. You've got even Bellona to send in with the initiation. The Eagles Rally is a great tool for that, and Hou-Yi for the backup. And then if you want to maybe back off a little bit, you've got healing going your way. Lancelot's also great initiation. But now the question is, will your Bellona be able to initiate and survive? Because this Nemesis goes all the way down to the 5th pick.
Yeah, Nem dropping to final pick in the draft is not something I'm used to seeing, especially when it's Panitom on the other side. We talked about the Wardens needing to kind of reassess some of their game plan. Obviously, not a lot worked in game number 1. You just get the 1 kill, and it's kind of a fadeaway kill, really, for Moswal. Do you think the Wardens have done enough here? I mean, again, you're always punching uphill. This is always going to be a difficult set for the Wardens to even maybe find a win, and if the Leviathans are playing their best smite. Do you think the Wardens have given themselves a chance out of picks and bans?
If the Leviathans are playing their absolute best smite, it's always going to be tough to say yes to that. But I think their draft looks a lot better now than it did in game number 1. I think they have a much better fighting chance. I think they definitely do have the tools available to them to start taking a step forward, start looking at those fights, and maybe take some of those early trades going in their favor, especially if Elleon can make his presence known with his Lancelot in the early. That's what I think is going to be the real key issue there.
Well, talk to me a bit about that. Where would you like to see Elleon try to make his presence known on the map between, mid, solo, duo lane? Do you think there's a lane that is more obvious being ready to be pressured out by Elleon?
I think that solo lane is a great place to look. Early in the game, King Arthur isn't at his strongest until he gets all of his kit online and a couple items as well. Once you get the sovereignty, it's a little bit less ideal to gank that. But then you can turn your attention over towards this mid lane. Sheento on the Merlin has a good escape, but it's a long cooldown. It doesn't go that far, and you've got a great way to bait it out with Moswal on this Agni.
And maybe we can then flip the story, because on the other side, Panitom was able to get active very early in game number 1 on the Daji, obviously playing the Nemesis, so the pacing will feel a little bit different. But do you feel like you're in a spot now, if you're Panitom, where you can match some of that pressure early from Elleon?
Oh, yeah, he can definitely do some work to match the pressure. Now, Nemesis isn't quite as good in the first couple levels as this Lancelot will be, but once you hit level 3, you're more than happy to start looking for those fights, looking for those trades, and you can definitely look for those counter ganks as well, even starting at level 2.
Well, look, I think the Kaolin Wardens, regardless of what happens here in game 2, should be proud of the weekend they've put on. Played a very competitive 3-game set against the Scorpions. You run into the defending world champions a couple of times. Can the Kaolin Wardens find a win and push us on to game 3? We will go over to Gormizer and Trelly for game 2.
That is the question. Look, we got our flotation devices to keep us afloat. We'll see if the Wardens brought theirs to keep them afloat in this set, Trelly.
I like
right
that.
now, it is just 1 game away for the Leviathans. The question is whether they make it here. Will we see something interesting? We already have Leon on the Lancelot. Got Moswal back on the Agni. Griff even going over to the Hou-Yi. Some picks that, the Lancelot, maybe not so much in this conversation. But the other two, we've been seeing not so much of, but when they show up, they've been looking good.
Yeah, I'd say so. The Agni, I think Moswal had a great performance on, and one of the safer mid laners that you can play and still do good amount of damage depending on where you're positioning and what you're up against. Up against the Agni, I think a decent matchup, right? Anything that can stun out the Nem shield, you should be sitting just fine. It really just depends on where you get caught out at, things of that nature. But the Hou-Yi from Griff I like, because I think Griff has been unfortunately playing extremely passively in this tournament, whereas Griff usually, I think, when I watch him, likes to get extremely active, fight those 1v1s, take those engagements. Hasn't really been able to do that. So I'm hoping that's what this pick is going to unlock for the Wardens and the duo lane in particular.
And we'll say, I'm going to put him a little bit on blast. One of the things I told Jordan to do was to absolutely just ask Griff a question. And it's mainly because we haven't seen him at all.
Yep.
Outside of when we are spectating the carries, and right there, that player cam. That's when we've gotten to see Griff. I even, was joking with him about it. He said, I don't know, they just hate me for some reason. And so I told them that if they win, realistically, I was being a little peppier than that. When I was in there, I said, all right, so when you guys win, Griff, you got to get up there. And then game 1 happened. And maybe they're changing their tune a little bit. Maybe they need to start thinking about that if a little harder. Panitom back on the Nemesis. Look, I mean, if you look at this right-hand side of the map, maybe if the Yemoja was over there, it otherwise feels like it's just one of the essential Leviathans drafts, right? Like if you're like, okay, top 2 picks, if I'm gonna grab Sheento for iconic things, it's either this Merlin or a Raijin. Panitom, Nemesis is up there. Jarcorrr, yeah, you're right, King Arthur. Zapman, admittedly, it's pretty much any ADC in the game. I feel like the Heimdallr fits.
Yeah, I think the Heimdallr does just fine slotting in there, but just the 2v2 and right, when you look up into Jarcorrr on the King Arthur and Panitom on the Nem, that's got to be intimidating no matter who you are, because it's a deadly duo. And it's able to get active in the early. Panitom has went for the blink, which tells me Panitom wants to get active in the early, which I love to see. It really just depends on where you're looking for that pressure. I just keep my eye on the map, right? We can see Panitom going up towards back camp, so no real aggression there, but sticking on this right side of the map. Because if you look over on the left, there's a Hou-Yi, there's a Yemoja, there's some healing. That doesn't sound too fun to gank in the early. It really just depends on what you can force out. You got Ronngyu on Eset, so probably not any relics just yet. Maybe towards level 5 we'll see some action over here.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to be able to get aggressive. Griff seems to want to. RelentlessOne didn't even notice his health bar getting low over here. Maybe something they could have acted on if the Leviathan so wanted to. But as of right now, Charlie, very similar pace to game number 1, right? Fights going back and forth in lanes, but like 200 gold, maybe, going in favor of the Leviathans. That lasted for a good little while. We'll see whether or not they can maybe find some of that. You know, and you're looking at this, I'm kind of curious, where do you think that aggression's going to be? Last time around, the Leviathans were looking for it in the jungle on right a lot, and the duo lane a lot. It feels like a Yemoja, it kind of slows that down. Right lane, especially with where RelentlessOne's at, maybe seems to be the place that's popping.
Yeah, certainly could be the option. I can see why Panitom would want to stay away from duo lane at level 5, of course, because once the rivers go up, that's not a spot that Nemesis really likes to be in, and unless you have crazy amounts of DPS, you're not going to be getting too active there. Elleon is on the way over, though. Not really looking towards any farm, looking at Ronngyu more than anything.
Yeah, get some damage out there, but Panitom's here to match. Will they be able to find anything? Geno riptides himself out of there. Leon just walks out the old-fashioned way. And that seems to be all he wrote for the fight, but is it everything? Leon trying to get aggressive onto Ronngyu one more time. Damage is there, but the shell is a little bit stronger. Leon finally able to find it. Now Panitom, that shield can only do so much. The dash gets the distance, but they're going a little further. They get the blink, and they're going to count that one as a win and back off.
Yeah, that's first blood, and also their own purple buff. The Wardens are happy to confirm that one because it was getting looked at by the Leviathans for a second there. Unfortunately, though, the Leviathans were already up in gold, so that first blood bounty is not going to be too much. It will put the Wardens ahead, but not by much given the situation. And, you know, the duo lane was exactly where the aggression came from. More so off the back of Elleon, though. I think,
yeah,
you know, Panitom was pretty cool with, okay, we're going to invade the purple buff. Hopefully it goes uncontested. There was a little bit of brawling, and Panitom was like, well, I don't really have my items online yet. Nemesis is fine, but not going to do as much damage as Lancelot at this point in the game, especially with the Mace Tree start. It's just going to be doing a little bit more than the Tier 2 Golden Blade. Panitom backs in, is able to finish that one up, but Ronngyu goes down. And so now I'm expecting to see Elleon keep this pace, right? Already having the first blood, you can ride across the map extremely quick on the horse. I don't want to see this being a hold-back moment. Okay, we got our kill, let's stall. You need to get active and keep forcing that ahead.
All right, Charlie. We're going to jump into the game in a second, but I have to ask, because we have the pool noodles, and, you know, we've talked about a lot, like doing the water cannon thing, you know, when you were a kid.
Yep.
Obviously, just floating on them.
Yep.
Did you ever do the thing where you rode it kind of, I guess, like a horse, right? Like you straddled the noodle and just floated like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then if you stuck the front part under the water, that's how you could, like...
You could then get, like, a bazooka,
yeah,
tuba-esque style.
Yeah, and then, like, shoot your parents, and they get really mad and be like, stop playing with the pool noodles.
Yeah, well, our parents, because I have 2 older siblings and a younger sibling, so the noodle is not a weapon was a very common phrase used around the pool. I think one time my sister hit me with one hard enough that it left like just this giant red rectangle across my stomach, and that was about the time my parents stepped in and were like, "Hey guys, like stop."
You just gotta be disarmed. You can't use the noodles as aggressive weapons anymore. Well, unfortunate, because we've been kind of jousting in between games.
Well, and then like we actually, yes, we have, and also there's like a whole pool noodle Kukul Khan. Like, what's he supposed to do? If he is the weapon at that point. And sometimes it works out. Not in this game though. And so we'll step away. Also, the watermelon is not a toy. That's another one. That's just a good old phrase for y'all and chat to figure out something for. We'll find a way to apply it to Smite here. Right now, maybe it has to do pineapples. Maybe not necessarily a watermelon, but something hovering around. A nice Yemoja skin, a very thematically appropriate Yemoja skin.
Yeah, we've been talking about anyone who plays any character that has the beach skin and then actually picks that beach skin in this tournament in particular. They get a buff, just like a buff from us. Not a real buff, doesn't actually apply
Style
anywhere, but at least we're going to call it out and say, hey, good job, Geno. Or not Geno, rather. I don't know who that is. I know who it's not.
It's not Geno.
We know who it isn't.
But that's all we have.
But I have no idea who it is, and not Geno gets the style points buff there. Again, not too much action at the moment. I understand that, you know, I think that aggression from Elleon was more so to defend the purple buff. So Panitom wasn't taking the action there, was just trying to get a quick buff invade. This isn't the time where Nemesis is able to outpressure the Lancelot, so I understand why. Hey, run to your farm. Let's not get too aggressive. We will naturally climb ahead just by nature of our farm, and that's exactly what the Leviathans are doing. Remember, first blood went to the Wardens, but the Leviathans are slowly pulling ahead, just inching their gold ever forward.
Now, last game, it wasn't even until 9 minutes before we got to see some of that action. But, you know, it was a question last game that we didn't really get to ask or answer. And so this time, especially with some of the time that we have allotted to us here, it feels appropriate, which is that, you know, going into mid-game, right? We're starting to approach that point. Who's got the strength there? Maybe Leon at least seems to think that it is them. Riptide does not connect. Leon does not slow down. Ronngyu trying to get to the lane. Damage is going to be there. Panitom, Sheento. We're starting to rotate over, but it doesn't seem like they truly want that fight if they can avoid it. They'll get the red buff. But mid-game conversation, also first off, shout out Zap, dominance one more time. The mid-game and the late game, I think, conversation has to come into play because it seems like they're going for a slower style. Yeah,
no doubt. Zap going dominance first item, but not showing it in the lane. Actually had to pre-ult the bounce from Gryph just in case it connected. I saw, and this is exactly what I was talking about. I want to see Gryph getting aggressive, not standing back by the wayside, continuously looking for 1v1 engagement. And you see, Gryph set up the ambush there, was waiting around the corner, didn't actually jump in. Didn't want to take that trade, but still looking for the fight, looking for the 1v1. In a situation like this, when it's Elimination Sunday, you don't want to sit at your tower line until late game when you can't even fight anymore and just be like, well, I wish I would have fought. Now Gryph's saying he's ready.
You're right. Tournament life on the line. Leon, RelentlessOne, they want to lead the way for their team back in to the bracket, trying to continue this as far as they can. Fortunately, they're not able to get the kill on Jarcorrr. Deep dive on the right-hand side of the lane. Sun's dropped on the left. And it's going to be a little bit of a match. Zap doesn't have ult just yet. It seems like on both sides, well, maybe hold that thought, Zap. Oh, Gryph.
One more auto, he's jumping in.
Yeah, no,
100%.
one more auto, or if that tower line was about 3 feet further. If it was 2 more steps for that, he's jumping in.
Yep.
Unfortunate there. That could have been a nice solo kill. For now, it's just another little pause. Is Ronngyu. I don't know if he's going to get anything here, right? Surely not. The stun on the Moswal, some damage. And yeah, he's going to back off.
Yeah, just a little bit of trading damage here. I imagine out of everyone, the mid laners are the safest at the moment, where Moswal and Sheento just continuously match clear, go back to lane. They look right, they go, oh, there's kind of a scrap over there. That's cool. They look left, oh, Zapman's ulting in. Oh, we see a little bit of fight. And they look at each other and go, we're stacking up Warlocks, right? Yep, okay, cool. And it's just a handshake lane in that sort of sense. I am seeing a little bit of pressure towards the Gold Fury. Panitom sort of rotated over and then just stopped there, right? Like there's no way you're looking to kill Gryph. He's at the purple buff, low HP, but you have to commit pretty far down the lane to go and get that Hou Yi. Elleon, though, would love to catch out Zapman. Rode over 2 wards, so I don't think it's going to be too easy.
Yeah, seen about a mile away. He's on a horse, so theoretically a mile is going to close a little faster than most people, but Zap just walks back and is able to get away from that one. I'm interested to see how this goes. And, you know, I have a question around this, because Phantom Shell's been picked up by Ronngyu real early in the game. And, you know, to try and match those walls from Geno, presumably. And that's kind of the question. Like, do you like that investment of gold this early? Like, is it worthwhile? I guess he's playing Eset, so it kind of must be worthwhile.
Yeah, I'm thinking Ronngyu doesn't upgrade that unless, you know, you get First Blood, which Ronngyu did get First Blood and was like, okay, so I'm the target. I'm probably being looked at by these rivers. The team is looking to kill Eset first, so I'm going to go ahead and get that and make sure of it. Of course, a little bit for Panitom and maybe Zap if your Bifrost isn't set up, but besides that, you want your support to be able to survive, get these items online. I don't hate the pickup. As long as you're able to get that Gauntlet of Thieves online, that's really your first utility item. There is plenty of other peel tools for Ronngyu to survive in these fights, so I definitely don't hate it. It's just going to add another level of safety. And whenever NotGeno's looking for an ult, it was like, they already have Phantom Shell. Should we even go for this? Do we want to force it out? It's got to be in the thought process.
I think it's nice, because it's one of those things. It's an inevitable relic in a matchup like this. It's just, how fast do you want to grab it? And the answer for Ronngyu was pretty quickly. Zap up against Gryph over here. Always going to be a fun matchup. Team fight-wise, that's one conversation, but 1v1 always feels like it goes the way of the Hou Yi just a little bit because of that Mark of the Golden Crow. Speaking of other birds, Crow and Eagle, that's the Eagle's rally, gets moved or used to move RelentlessOne out of some danger over on the right-hand side. Pyromancer spawned up, and a pick could be massive here, Leon.
Oh, that
getting some damage out there. Nice silence from Ronngyu. And it's amazing how something, what feels like maybe as small as that, stops an entire fight in its stance.
Yeah, that Riptide hit, and Panitom gets sent back, I have no doubts. The Joust was coming through, and Elleon was going to try and chase that one down. You do have to worry about the Circle of Protection, because at the moment, it is still a bit of a tool to convince yourself of, okay, we can fight, we can kill here. Zap is going to teleport away, but the Bifrost is there. I was wondering, it looked like Elleon was covering the option, and then decided, you know what, this is going to take too long, we probably can't dive, and turned around just to go for the camps, because you know, it's still a risky gamble if you're trying to dive that tier 1 tower against a Heimdallr with ult. I mean, you can just close so much gap, so I understand the hesitation there. Probably the smart call. Only one with the kill in the game. Elleon wants to make sure his ganks are safe.
Good news is, though, right, the Bifrost, the further you travel with it, the higher the cooldown. So Zap's going to have a little longer before those crystals are going to be active for him. Not quite as long as when we used to see people use it from base. But still, going to be a nice little balancing point for them.
When he first came out, I used it as a teleport, and then I was like, oh, I can't escape for 2 minutes, never doing that again. As we do see a pull here by the Wardens. Jarcorrr not even there, but Leviathans recognized it and just started bouncing the Gold Fury back and forth.
Now, here's the real question. One, well, I guess it's two questions. Will the Wardens recognize this? And two,
well, they recognize it in
can
time.
they get the kill, right? It's are they going to get here, and can the Leviathans kill it fast enough? There's the Circle of Protection. That's going to get charged up, popped. Gold Fury's there. On the mid camps for the Wardens. And it looked like they might have been able to cut off Sheento and Panitom, so should they so please. But instead, it's just going to be 1-for-1. Pyro dropped for gold over towards the Levi's.
Yeah, again, I think that was what started out as like a sneaky play by the Wardens, turned into the Leviathans having complete map knowledge. The sun's being dropped on Zap, but he's able to zoom on out of there and just immediately pulling the gold for it and saying, oh yeah, you're going for the Pyro? We're just going to get the better objective, the one that's worth more at this point in the game. Leviathans are still ahead, given the fact that they're down a kill, because they have the objective control as well. Sheento and Gryph would love to go for this purple buff here, but here comes Sheento and Panitom. They could be in some trouble.
Yeah, there's going to be the ult from Panitom. Gryph stunned out. This is where the chase is, the Riptide. It only gets you so far, and Gryph is not going to get the distance that he wants. There's the walls. That creates the distance. Panitom sneaks his way around. Finds out that he's the only one over there. They still have the Phantom Shell. Didn't have to use it this time around. Elleon in the jungle and making his way over here. Catches Panitom out. Gets some good damage to start things off, and is going for the chase with the tier 2.
I'm ulting that, man. I'm ulting that. I don't even know if it was a guaranteed kill or a question mark, but I'm going for it. And Zap knew the Bifrost timer, was able to get on out of dodge. And actually, the purple buff will be stolen away by Elleon. So a little bit of a win going over the way of the Wardens. I understand.
That's a lot for just the purple, right?
Yeah, I definitely understand. Once again, Elleon playing extremely cautious. Still the only kill in the game. Panitom had the blink. There was no sort of tick damage, so maybe that was the outplay he was waiting for. If he blinks my ult, I'm under tower with no ult. That's not a great opportunity. So called off the dive underneath that tier 2 tower.
So close.
Oh, yeah.
To getting it. And like you said, maybe just to doing, dropping an ult, seeing what he can get done. Falls back. And like you said, we still stay at just 1 kill. Wardens had that. Gold separating these teams, about 400 in favor of the Leviathans. It's a really good farm, even, from the Wardens to kind of catch back up after that massive spike that was the Gold Fury. And, you know, you're looking at small little differences, mid-camps, Scorpions, things like this. Maybe kills onto Gryph, beads, forced out Suns, drop down, but there's a circle protecting Gryph. Dove under tower and just does not have the health bar to survive. Panitom credit for the kill, but that's a 3-man effort on left.
Yeah, Gryph survived for so long, popped the shell as well, but Panitom able to tank that one up for such a long time, especially with the circle of protection and Ronngyu playing that perfectly. RelentlessOne actually TP'd over, thought maybe the Gryph would live a little bit longer. Fortunately not the call, and that means Jarcorrr has free reign over in right lane. Actually, Elleon does make the rotation over and at least picks up that wave. But all in all, the Leviathans answer back, put their first kill on the map, and they're going to put Gryph in the dirt. Double relics as well, something to look out for. Gryph's going to have to sit a little bit safer in this lane given the situation.
Yeah, maybe makes things easier for Zap to run around, rotate in, control the flow of his fight. King Arthur takes Elleon up into the air. Elleon's not taking a lot of damage though, so I don't know that this is going to flourish into anything massive. The Lancelot v. Arthur. One that if I knew a little bit more about lore, I could probably say something poetic and flowery. Unfortunately, all I know is that Merlin's like a real good dude to Arthur, and Lancelot, in some instances, depends on, I guess, the time period. Myth said that Arthur was technically thought of as dead, but I know Lancelot wasn't necessarily kind to Arthur's trust.
Well, I just know when you have King Arthur and Merlin on the same team, they have like a minute of dialogue. Like whenever you spawn in,
they
just talk back and forth. So I haven't had the blessing of being able to hear if Lancelot ever chats back with them, you know? Because he's so new and I only play ranked, it's like I rarely get the opportunity to just have them all in one game.
He feels like he would definitely have like directed lines, right?
Yeah.
Like if he kills Arthur, he's gonna say something. He's gonna talk some smack. Maybe he'll get some out of game as well. Panitom almost caught out. Elleon actually taking too much damage, uses the jousting field to get away. But is it enough distance? The answer right now is yes, that horse moving him fast right around the Oni Fury. Seems like it could be an advantage for the Leviathans, though still having to wait 40 seconds for that one to come up. I thought it was going to be a little quicker. Unfortunate for them, that pressure is only going to be able to get a little bit of wiggle room. They have managed to push to about 800, hovering around 800 to 1,000 gold. If they can get any of these tier 1 towers, that feels like a distinct advantage. Warden's holding on a lot longer in this game compared to game 1.
Yeah, no doubt. They're able to get that first kill, and they've sort of been riding that ever since, right? Using that to their advantage on the left side of the map. But a couple times now, Elleon has been able to get aggressive, but that time, extremely low and was able to get out just fine. NotGeno is making the rotation over. Might be looking to find a river here on the Zap.
There's going to be the bubble bounce at least. They aren't going to catch him out of the glyph there, the Bifrost, as it gets him out. Ronngyu not grabbed by the Riptide. Grabbed by the second one, though. Circle protection forced out. Elleon getting aggressive. The Sun's dropped. They've got some damage. They need a little more. And Leon's able to find it. Then the leap onto Zap. The damage is there. And they are diving this tower. They get 2 on left. And that's a big win for the Wardens, but they're not done yet. RelentlessOne, the target of aggression. Panitom, Jarcorrr trying to find something back for what ails them on the left-hand side. Unfortunately here, they're not going to find it. Oni Fury started up by the Wardens, and it looks like they're going to get this one clean. Yeah,
Panitom was chasing down RelentlessOne, but Eagle's Rally still available. I mean, there was no world where they ever get that kill onto Bellona, and now for their troubles, they will pick up the Pyromancer and still remain ahead in the gold department. So great dive there in left lane. I'm happy that Griff finally decided to jump it, because there's a couple times where I'm like, ooh, he might be able to get the kill here, but then doesn't use that dive bomb aggressively. This time, dives that tower with no fear, getting the Phantom Shell down from Ronngyu early on, made sure that gank was effective, and now Zapman's going to be going to a little bit of a deficit. 2 levels down in the duo lane. Griff already level 17 to Zap's 15. Take a look at the mid laners, though. We've been talking about how they haven't been doing anything. They're both level 19. They've just been farming, matching each other's farm as well as possible, and they're going to start chunking. Expect to see these tanks come in and get a reality check when they see how much these mages are going to be able to do.
Yeah, it's a little frightening going from like the triple goose egg and the slash line for both of them to, okay, now we're going to fight. Like that damage numbers, where are they at? 7? Oh, no, sorry, that's Golden Hand. That's okay, that's way better. I looked over and I saw 7. I'm like, there's no way Agni's hit a single in-hand auto at like level 2. Still, not that high though. 2,000 for the Agni, about 4,000 for the Merlin. So a little more over there, about 2K that Sheento's been able to find that otherwise hasn't been answered. But considering where the supports are, which is 3,000 and 2,000, their numbers aren't necessarily that great.
Yeah, and we get to see, 4 items online for both
Can you
of
imagine
these
doing
mages.
7 damage? Sorry, I'm still stuck on that.
Yeah, there was a time back in the day, Ronngyu is able to slip out of the rivers this time, so NotGeno's gank not going to be the call. Holds on to the Phantom Shell, and Zapman just farming away on the left side. Looks like we're trying to look for a middle lane fight, but Rongyu's going to be safe from that bounce, and no further aggression. Just Zap split pushing left. That's the only thing that is currently going on, getting some extra gold in hand for the Levi's. And now the Wardens are in a situation where they got to go defend that tower. They have to give up on their aggression. But yeah, there was a time back when Mark of the Vanguard was in the game where you could just negate a couple like minion autos at that point. Like it was just like base damage, and you could really just get 2 tower damage or like 2 player damage if you stacked your defense, right?
You did it just the right way. We're talking like 667 kind of style in terms of damage numbers. Jarcorrr trying to make sure his go up real fast. The damage numbers are solid here. Griff caught out on the rotation. Panitom and Zap able to get that Eagles Rally off the mark. The dash in, though, from Moswal, and they pick it up 1-1. Elleon barely able to get under that tier 2 and barely able to get back to base, but does so. 40 seconds missing a carry for the Wardens and 40 seconds missing a jungler for the Leviathans. Puts us in an interesting spot here in mid.
Yeah, if Sheento knew exactly where Elleon was chailing that back, could have been in some trouble. Moswal has the Flame Dash, shouldn't be in too much trouble. The RelentlessOne makes the rotation in, doesn't have access to Eagle's Rally, so unless some fancy footwork, I don't think there's going to be too much aggression left in the mid lane. And once again, Zap is still just pushing and left. He does not care about the team.
Yeah, Griff went down. He's like, cool, did my job, left. He decided to go and get the farm where he could. Well, it balances out in terms of kills. You mentioned it, but the gold is starting to hover a little more towards the Leviathans, and really map state maybe is where that matters most. Tier 1's all up for the Leviathans. They got every single tower. Missing that tier 1 and left. Getting like 3 minions into that tier 2 on left. It's not a lot of damage, but still some, not full health anymore. So Zap kind of showcasing some prowess, at least in terms of map pressure.
In terms of not rotating.
In terms of I'm not going to be there anymore, guys. Have fun.
I mean, he did like the half rotation. Saw it was going like decently enough. He's like, all right, I did my part. See you guys in a bit.
They got the kill and he just dipped.
Yeah, he was like, that's all I need to do. Now I'm gonna go trying to fast track to level 20. I'm still a level down, guys. Like I need my farm.
point.
Stop asking me to rotate. Like that's gotta be the comms, right? Like you call me when I'm level 20 and have an upgraded starter item. If not, I'm not picking up. Like that phone is on silent. I don't want to answer it.
Well, he's matching, what was it, 2 levels down earlier, right?
Yep.
So he's been able to catch up a fair amount here. Sheento as well. Moswal hit 21st, then the solo laners following up shortly thereafter. Have to expect we're about to start seeing the masses of 20s that really click through. And again, question marks are going to be around team fights, right? You're looking at this Pyromancer, give or take 30 seconds. Same thing for the Fury, give or take 30 seconds. Both of them are going to spawn up. Pyro, easier to kill. Primal, more worthwhile to kill. We'll see whether or not that's going to be the call. Fire Giant, I mean, look, you're 24 minutes in. If they notice you're on the other side of the map, that might just be the real advantage one of these teams needs to kind of push the limit of this game. And it comes down to, I mean, look, you've got Griff dying a couple times, a few more deaths over there for the Leviathans. Might be a couple more. Fight around the mid camps. Eagles rally onto Jarcorrr. The Wardens don't want much to do with it, and they're going to back off.
Yeah, at least the Eagles rally is down. That is a team fight tool that the Leviathans are happy to know is gone, but still getting aggressive. Ronngyu stuck in the rivers, uses that Phantom Shell, gets out just fine.
Yeah, is able to grab someone. Jarcorrr goes up in the air, has Elleon. The Suns get dropped, though, waiting for Jarcorrr to come down. A little bit of burn on the right-hand side from the Merlin. Nice lockdown from Geno. Again, keeps the Leviathans from getting aggressive. They're going to start up this Primal. The Wardens see that it's going on. They've got the vision with the Sentry Ward. They're going to grab Ronngyu. They're doing so much damage, and that Eset is just deleted. Circle protection dropped, but it didn't secure the Fury. Leviathan still able to grab it, but can they get more? RelentlessOne is low. RelentlessOne is falling down. Has to Eagles rally out of there, but they're not disengaging cleanly enough. Elleon goes down. Griff sent through the realms, and when he comes crashing into the map, that's a kill for Zap. Geno just trying to riptide out of here, but Panitom sticking to him like glue with one
There
more
it is.
auto. The slice and dice will do it, and Panitom still gets out with his life.
Wow, look at the gold lead at the end of a fight like that, where the Primal Fury does go down for the Leviathans. It starts out with a beautiful pick on a Ronngyu, but you stay a little bit too long, use a little bit too many ultimates defensively, and Leviathans are able to take that one handedly. Panitom diving the tower. I was wondering when the cooldowns were going to come through. I was like, tell me Slice and Dice is almost back up. But was able to confirm that kill as well. And this is the mark of a solid, just a team that knows exactly what they're doing. Half the team's pulling that Pyromancer before the rest of the Wardens come in, and Panitom is pushing down that Trebuchet, making sure to get that tier 2 tower.
And look at this fight. I mean, they're winning it pretty handily. Moswal is able to turn it around. They go 1 for 1. The mid laners trading out. They finally get involved in these fights. Oh, and Moswal picks up, I would say, a big one there, killing off Sheento. That's the first death for both mid laners. And it's also a tie game in terms of kills, 6-6. Not so much when you look towards that gold, 6,000. And let's go ahead and start pushing that up towards the 7K mark. Leviathans starting to run away with game number 2.
Yeah, and now there's the Trebuchet is wailing away on the Phoenix over in left lane. It actually looks like the Leviathans were posturing towards a possible Fire Giant, but with Sheento down, are you really feeling that confident burning through? The answer is yes, actually, and RelentlessOne, the only one up at the moment. Elleon's on the way, and they're looking for blood.
Confident and maybe just starting a fight,
Yeah.
right? That burn was slow without Sheento. Looking for some sort of engagement. Jarcorrr, Ronngyu, kind of leading the way. Makes sense. Front line's doing the front line thing, like you said. Maybe not the utmost confidence for them. They fall back from the Fire Giant. And they're going to let Sheento respawn and eventually make his way over here.
Yeah, Sheento's full build already as a mage with arguably the most expensive items that out of everyone, right? Like mage items just by natural are a little bit more expensive. So that just goes to show how much farm the mid laner has been able to get. Moswal, pretty much mirroring the build with a little bit of difference there, has not been able to get the Obsidian Shard. Like that's the one difference maker, and it's a large one. Like that's a lot of penetration that Moswal would love to have in these team fights. So that's pretty much the gold lead right there, if you can tell, between the two 1-1 mages. Both have been pretty much mirroring each other's build, mirroring their farm, mirroring the levels. The big difference is a completed Obsidian Shard. If the Leviathans fight right now, they're going to be at an advantage. But look, Zapman and Panitom on the left side of the map, they're not even close to the Fire Giant at the moment.
It could be a fight the Wardens want to pick. You mentioned the mirrored mid laners, though. And Shell for Sheento. Makes sense. We've seen that a lot. Sprint on the other side. Moswal, I didn't even realize that's what he decided to pick up. That one is incredibly different from what I'm used to seeing on anybody.
Yeah, I think he just realized the amount of slows that would come from Panitom and was like, I don't need Aegis. As long as I juke out Sheento's abilities, that's the only thing I'm Aegis in. So I'm simply going to sprint out of them. And Geno as well, or not Geno, rather, also picked up the Heavenly Wings, just making sure to be able to zoom out whenever possible.
I appreciate the commitment to it. I mean, it is his player.
That is his name. Geno. That is what he chooses to go by, and that's not Geno. I don't know who it is, but I know who it's not.
Our Relentless One right now, it's unrelenting in the face of danger. Barely able to get out of there. Has to use it. 100 health left to their name. And you know the Leviathans are going to try to run away with this one. Forcing that, the full TKO teleport is going to come back in a second, and that might be the difference maker. Relentless One will be able to get back into the fight. Leon takes half their HP and knocked out. Same thing for Geno. Riptide going to get some distance away. The Fire Giant goes to the Leviathans, and now it is the runaway, the disengage for the Wardens. Riptide's doing plenty of work to make sure they stay out of this one. That seems to be all they need. Leviathans, they've got a Trebuchet coming down mid, and something to group around if they want it.
Yeah, but I'm not Geno. Is looking for the chase here. Zap and Ronngyu could be in some trouble as we see Jarcorrr teleporting in, put up the rivers, but that's going to be all she wrote. And now the Leviathans are diving back in here. They're trying to chase this one. Sheento throwing some damage over the wall.
Yeah, Phantom Shell gets used, but for good note, right? It's going to be able to get them out of there. Panitom trying to go in. Is able to get some damage, but not able to find the slow. Tier 2 tower looked at by the Leviathans, and they're going to burn this one down pretty quickly. Late game, just shy, admittedly, of an EFG. It's 29.5 in, a minute burned on the power play with 11,000 gold. The Leviathans are going to start knocking on the right side. Phoenix, they're going to get aggressive. Jarcorrr leading the way. Again, a little bit of damage goes a long way. Eagles rally in from Relentless One, and they're going to burn down Ronngyu. And just like that, the Leviathans are going to be pushed back. The Panitom in mid with a Trebuchet trying to fight the Phoenix. Jarcorrr just buying his team so much space, so much time. Gonna have to fall back though. Zap playing it carefully. Sheento with the burn just off the mark. Leon caught out. The horse is going to get him out of here. And it's a good defense so far from the Wardens.
This is a 4v5 the Leviathans are not afraid to take, though. Panitom wailing away on the mid-Phoenix with the Trebuchet, and Moswal forced to beast dashes in on Jarcorrr. He's looking to get aggressive.
Yeah, looking for the fight. Phoenix is doing its work. One more shot. No, the shell. It's going to save his life only for a little bit. Leon steps up. Mid-Phoenix goes down, but they are getting their kills. Defense from the Wardens. It's good enough. Sheento finds a double, and it's 4-4-3. Gryph alive, Panitom, Trebuchet, minions, and Sheento walking in. Are they gonna find it in the 2-0? Do they have the damage? Sheento, a lot of mana to work with. Gryph is getting burned down, and they're just gonna kill him off. Some minions walking in from the right-hand side, and just like that, the Leviathans find game 2.
Wow, the kills were so even, but the farm and the gold were just never close. Even with losing Ronngyu before that Phoenix siege even really starts. Leviathans, and off the back of Jarcorrr doing his job so well, making sure that the chase, the sprints got popped, right? I mean, it looked like the Wardens were ready to chase that one down and possibly go for a Phoenix of their own, and then Yark's like, you guys aren't, we are the aggressors here. We are not, we're not running. Call the ambulance, but not for us. And then it was just the damage to Sheento does so much there on that Merlin. Moswal dashes in effectively and was able to pick up Jarc, but the rest of the damage dealers on the Leviathans doing their jobs in spades.
I mean, you flash back and think about it. Ronngyu died, and like that's how that fight starts.
Yeah.
The defense starts. It looks like it's going to be good.
Yeah.
They're able to get some kills, but a little bit of damage thrown the other way, Trelly, and that's enough for them. The Leviathans look a very good go button for them. Wardens, though, I mean, by no means was that a runaway game. Like by the end of it, the gold lead is definitely there. But they put up a good fight for a majority of that game.
And that's the thing, the kills were always even. But you just take a look at the gold lead and the farming, the objective play that you expect the Leviathans to have down pat by now, right? They've been together for so long playing at the highest level. But it was just never that close gold-wise. About 11,000, even 4v5, it's hard to come back from that.
They were able to pick it up. They get themselves the 2-0. They move into next week, joining 6 other SBL teams and the Hex Mambo. I did wrong math right there, and that's why you don't do math on cast. So instead, I'm going to save myself and just get out of here. We're going to throw it back to the desk, and they'll break this down.
Leviathans flex their muscles a bit here in game number 2, and it's what you expect from the Atlantis Leviathans when they're playing the brand of SMITE that the Leviathans have, not only in game 1, but here in game 2 of this set. It's when things get close, it's the team fighting, the grouping, the shot calling, where the Leviathans really stand apart from the Kaolin Wardens here in game number 2. And Spooky, I think the Wardens have a lot to be proud of for their performances here at SMITE Summer Masters. You know, you run into an SPL team a couple of times. The Leviathans are that SPL team. Very competitive 3-game set that the Wardens were able to win. So I think the Wardens have plenty to be proud of, but ultimately the Leviathans, the better team here in this 2-0 set.
Most definitely. I mean, the Wardens, they looked like they had an advantage in that early game. They were getting active. They were finding some kills. They had a kill lead at one point. But the Leviathans, they have that discipline, that veteranship to know, okay, things aren't going our way right now. Let's take a step back. Let's slow this down a little bit. Let's come into our own. And it really broke open on that left side, that first fight that really came up. That was where the first gold lead started to show for the Leviathans. And from then on, they just pushed that lead over and over and over. And that's what you expect from the world champions.
Yeah, I loved what I saw out of Panitom, specifically at the beginning of this set. The Nemesis was hitting the gas pedal early and often, really facilitated the carries of the Atlantis Leviathans. By the end of the game, Sheento was really impressing me. Merlin looked fantastic. There's some fun 1v1-esque style plays going up against Moswal, and nearly taken down by that tower by the end of that replay. Look, a better game from the Wardens really here in game 2. Able to find a few kills, able to remain competitive. Elleon early on keeps things interesting, but as we've mentioned now a couple of times, but by the time you're getting to the point in the game where objectives are grouped up for, team fought over, and then what you do after that is really where the gold swings. That's where the Leviathans bought themselves big advantages, big damage numbers from Sheento and Jarcorrr as well. That's pretty big here in this one. I mean, 15,000 damage above RelentlessOne is Jarcorrr, 27,000 damage on the King Arthur. Just beats out Sheento for top damage in the game. So I think overall, Leviathans fans potentially a little worried after they fell to the Titans 2-0 earlier on this weekend. Do you think some concerns are eased after the way that this set went?
I think they definitely should be. I mean, the first game was so clean for the Leviathans. It was quite dominating, as Trelly has mentioned before. But even the second game, despite being closer, I think should really give the Leviathan fans a lot of confidence, because it shows that Leviathans can recognize, okay, this game isn't going how we want it to. Let's reevaluate. Let's change what we're doing. I really think that was best encapsulated on that last siege around the Phoenix, right? Ronngyu gets picked out early. Is that a problem for the Leviathans? No. They just have Jarcorrr create so much space. They're able to step back, reset. Panitom rotates on in, and they just keep playing their game how they want to do it.
Yeah, having a second to be able to step back, take a deep breath, reassess, reinitiate, win the game. Good look here for the Atlantis Leviathans, and they will continue to look good right now in the post-game interview.
That's right. I got Panitom and Ronngyu standing by for the post-game interview. And Ronngyu, look, I feel bad about this because you made a lot of really good plays in that, but I'm going to ask, at the very end there, you get picked off right around the Phoenix. Do you think, with the team surging forward, did you think that was still a win state for your team, or were you a little worried?
Well, to be fair, I was playing with hiccups all the game, so it was very uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. I was stressed. And then, I don't know, somehow it was just free casting, and we had Merlin late game, so I was just pretty confident my team could close it up.
They did so. The hiccups apparently haven't left. You had to play with them throughout game 2 as well. Panitom, you're able to get the Nemesis. Game 1 even is super fast for you guys. You get ahead really quickly. Game 2 slows down a little bit. What was the real difference between the two of them?
Yeah, I think the difference was for example, with Daiji I can be more comfortable because I think they have Chang'e and Mercury, and for example, with Daiji you have a really high kill pressure on them, and with Nem you need kinda 3 irons maybe to start fighting. So yeah, that was kind of a play.
Well, you know what? It feels appropriate. It's the last set of the week. You guys get to relax for a few more days before you play in the bracket with a bunch of SBL teams and Hex Mambo.
So we'll go back to some of the more relaxing questions. You guys seem like you'd have a lot of fun on the beach. So if you had your ideal beach day, what are you doing?
Probably just sitting on the pool and chilling.
Wait, what was the question?
If you're gonna relax, like if you're relaxing at the beach, what's your ideal beach day?
Oh, I mean, maybe some drinks and, with the boys and swimming.
And swimming. See, good answer, right? That's a good day. Either way, it feels like things are good. Congratulations, guys. You get a 2-0 win here. You move on to next week. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm sure your fans are excited, as well as everybody else. So congratulations again on your win. Thanks for your time. We'll throw it back to the desk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Leviathans move their way into our second week here of play at SMITE Summer Masters, convincing fashion over the Kaolin Wardens. Get things back on track. Fell to the Titans earlier on in this weekend, but the Leviathans in a really good spot now. Good looks for themselves, for their fans, and I think cleaned up a lot of the issues that the Leviathans maybe faced in their previous matchup. Now, that said, Spooky, I mean, this is the style of match that you expect the Leviathans to win, right? And maybe exactly the type of match that the Leviathans needed after you drop to the Titans. A palate cleanser, if you will.
Most definitely. If nothing else, this should just give them some momentum going forward. This is a nice little breather. It's gotten rid of the bad taste of the previous losses and says, okay, we still got it. We still know exactly what we're doing. And moving into this next week, into the next bracket, they got to feel really good about it.
Both the Tartarus Titans and the Atlantis Leviathans make their way out of Group D. This is a group with the Kaolin Wardens and the Aru Scorpions from the SCC. One EU, one over in North America as well. That match number 9 down there on the bottom, the 3-game set between the two, was a lot of fun. Here was our schedule for today, Elimination Sunday. One of these things, not like the other. And it's the 3-game set, but not only the 3-game set, but it's Hex Mambo beating the Solar Scarabs to advance themselves, the one SEC team to advance to our second weekend of play, a straight-up elimination-style bracket like you have all seen in the past, and Hex Mambo will be there. So Valkyries, they look great in their set earlier on today. Hex Mambo, Oni Warriors, Atlantis Leviathans, 4 more teams proceeding into our second week of schedule. We've talked about it ad nauseum, the Hex Mambo team advancing to the next week of play. In a minute, we'll get a look at what some of those matches are next week. Do you think Hex Mambo has a fighter's chance at maybe taking another game, another set off one of these SPL squads next weekend in our main bracket?
I mean, they got this far, right? They were
right.
already able to beat one SPL team. What's one more set, right? They can definitely have a fighting chance into it. Even if it's just one game, I think they can get there. What I really want to know, Dolson, is if they have like a celebratory dance that they do when they win. They're named the Hex Mambo. They should have a dance.
And it should be just the Mambo, right? Because that's a type of dance, if I'm correct, or am I wrong? Is a Mambo not a dance?
It is a dance.
It is a dance.
It is a dance.
So it's got to be that then, clearly, for Hex Mambo. We'll see them next weekend. But what are the matchups next weekend? That is the question we all have on our mind. Here is the final bracket for next weekend. The elimination phase quarterfinals will kick off next week. And some great matchups. Hex Mambo, they face plant their way into the Jade Dragons. Maybe the best performing SPL team as of this weekend. Jade Dragons, since adding Scream, have not lost a singular game. That's a couple SEC sets, or SPL sets rather, 3 SPL sets, and then a couple sets here at SMITE Masters. Lots of great matchups over the horizon here, Spooky. What stands out to you in our quarterfinals?
I mean, I'm definitely excited to see the Jade Dragons go against the Mambo. Mambo looked really good against the Scarabs. Can they keep that up against the Dragons? But I think the bigger question is the Kings and the Leviathans. Kings, I think, have a great run right now, and they're set to really have a dominant performance. Can they go up against the world champions and maintain that streak? They've done it so far.
Yep.
How long can they do it?
Got to be some upsets. I look at these matchups. This is August 12th. That is Friday, this upcoming Friday at 11 a.m. We will have our quarterfinals, and it's a full day of SMITE action, our quarterfinals. All 4 quarterfinals, all of them on Friday, starting at 11 a.m., starting with the Camelot Kings going up against the Atlantis Leviathans. I think the Valhalla Valkyries could step up, be very competitive against the Tartarus Titans, might be able to take that set. Both of those two teams in the last sets that we saw them have played some awesome SMITE. In the final set of Friday, the final quarterfinal that we've got, the Jade Dragons up against the SEC upset story squad, the Hex Mambo. I mean, that's going to be difficult for the for Hex Mambo Spooky, because if you look at the Jade Dragons and the way that they play SMITE, the Jade Dragons love aggression, love being quick, love pulling games away fast. Hex Mambo are going to have to try to slow those games down.
It's going to be a tall order for the Mambo, but we've seen they can put up some results when push comes to shove. Like you said, though, it is so tough going against this Jade Dragons team.
Man.
I'm excited to see it, though.
I know. I cannot wait to see what we have in store next week. It's been an incredible week number 1 of SMITE Summer Masters. Week number 2 kicks off on Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time with all 4 quarterfinal sets. On behalf of myself, Spooky, all the other casters, everyone back in production, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Friday.